Just had supper a little bit ago.
Greetings, sentient beings. This broadcast is not intended for children. There may be strong language and adult themes. So today is our day. It is International Skeptics Day, probably.
Yeah, sure.
Well, by probably, depending on where you look, International Skeptics Day is either October 13th, January 13th, or the first Friday of the year, assuming that is not Friday the 13th.
Sounds like bullshit.
So the topic is open to debate. So
the election was rigged.
Yep. So for anyone not recognizing the voice, Creepy in the Park is our own Jenny Morgan, and we have Dr. Susan with us. For anyone,
Egads, I forgot to mute my TV.
Yep. And in the side chat, I see we have my longest patron, Greg Hartwick, Nerdy Rodent, Mage Grey Wolf, Geo Sam, and Godless Granny. Did I miss anyone?
No, when you refer to Greg as your longest patron, you're talking the time, not his height, right?
Yeah, well, I do not know anything about his physical dimensions as such.
Okay. So he could be like an 8-footer. Either way, he would be qualified then, hey?
Yep. Okay. He's the one who's been with me the longest. I now have 3 patrons: Greg Hartwick, the Lavender Lady, and Mikey Famine, who is Neil the 604 Atheist producer and also produces the Bin podcast.
And does gaming online from time to time.
Yes, he does stream some online gaming. I don't really do any online gaming, so I don't follow those things and don't think to mention them.
I really like listening to Mikey sometimes. I don't always, I'm not always around for his show, but when I do, I really like it too. It's just such a natural conversation, and you know, I really feel like you're just hanging out at a card table bullshitting.
And nice. Him and Neil have a great rapport. If you watch him on Neil's after shows, they really get it going.
Yeah, that's what I got to do, is get on Neil's after show. Those are fun, especially when that crazy Swede gets going.
And we have Godless Scummer joining us.
Ahoy.
Hi, Jeff.
Hi, Hello.
Hi,
Doc. Creepy in the Park. You sound really familiar to me. You sound like this person on Local Jenny.
Well, I'm in my backyard looking.
Well, let's be honest. In this community, if you don't know who someone is, if it's female and you call them Jen, and if it's male, you call them Dave, and you'll be right about half the time.
Yeah, pretty much. Pretty much.
Jeff, I've always meant to ask you, is it GIF or GIF?
Jeff.
Here you go, Jenny. Greg answered your question.
I got it. And he's right.
Yeah. As in, Jeff as in Geoffrey Chaucer, my dear, you know.
Mm-hmm. Fuck.
We have the best Jeffs in the... I'll say we have the best Jeffs in England because we have Chaucer, you have Bezos, so...
Yeah, but what Chaucer wrote, nobody can read.
Well, we're getting to the point. I think now that they have the text-to-speech things, as the schools are no longer teaching cursive, I think the next thing is that soon they will stop teaching reading because people will be used to the technology doing it for them.
I can't imagine that would ever be acceptable.
I don't consider not teaching cursive to be acceptable, but my nephew is 19 and doesn't know how to read cursive.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think
so. I cannot believe it is possible for a child to finish high school and not be able to read and write cursive.
I think they all should take cursive, required, and you take it, but it's not graded. Because people always complain, well, I get graded on my sloppy handwriting. Well, some people just crappy with their hands. Fine, but learn how to do it and learn how to read it, and that's good enough.
Yeah,
I don't care how neat it is.
I do a lot of stuff with my hands. I'm, really good with manipulating tools and that, but my handwriting has never improved since the 5th grade.
Mm.
And my leading theory on that is I wonder if I was supposed to be left-handed and I got trained out of it.
I don't think you ever get trained out of it. I think it's always there.
Well, see, with most tools, I'm ambidextrous. Most things I can use with either hand, almost equally. My handwriting is illegible no matter which hand I use.
That's an interesting question.
We have a couple of lefties in my family, so.
Can you actually train it out of somebody? I would think not. With the percentages and everything, it seems to be something that is born. Because kids who are lefties from the first time they pick up a crayon. Or it appears so anyways.
Well, but if nobody realized I was left-handed, and if as a child I was always trying to imitate the way other people did things, I don't know. It's just a theory. Sloth Girl saying, I just learned that Olympic gold medalist at the Athens Olympics, Cleet Keller, was at the U.S. Capitol riots wearing his Team USA jacket.
Yeah.
I saw a picture of that on Twitter last night, and somebody...
Yeah, there's a bunch of people all upset about that.
Yeah. Somebody calling the Olympic Committee to have them pull the medals.
Sorry guys, I'm back. I was just DMing someone who I should be having on my channel next week now. So
You're sorry you're back?
I think that's a common sense.
No, I was in the process of DMing someone that I think I now have scheduled on my channel for an interview next week. So could be having Slim Living Cyborg on next week. So
he's pretty cool.
He's awesome. So
Greg says everyone should have to take 2 years of Latin. I think 2 years might be a bit much, but I actually wish that I had at least taken a semester of Latin just so I could pronounce the scientific terms.
I find those asterisk comic book streams I do with Noodle probably a lot easier if I understood Latin, because there's a lot of Latin jokes in there that I don't get and she picks up on.
I took 4 years of Latin in high school, got straight A's. And I would agree completely. It is absolutely useful as I'll get out to picking apart words and knowing what they are if you've never seen them before.
Yeah, well, just dealing with the zoology and paleontology of being able to figure out, not just how to pronounce the names of species, but that, finding out what the descriptors actually mean.
Except Jeff, your name, if pronounced the way Latin is supposed to be pronounced as spoken, would be Geff.
Yeah, it would be. Same with people say Caesar or whatever, it would be Kaiser.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And Oh, what other weird one is there? I'm just not thinking of it right now.
Well, I don't know if this is accurate, if this is actually what happened, but didn't one of your former US vice presidents say he wanted to learn Latin to go to because he was going to Latin America at one time?
I
I
remember
don't
something
remember
about that.
but
Was it Dan Quayle? I'm not sure.
That's what I'm thinking.
It sounded like a Quayleism, but I don't quite remember if he said that or not. But he said something along those lines.
Immediately, I thought of George
about a
Bush.
couple of them.
I immediately thought of George Bush, but I know that's not him because he's fluent in Spanish. So, yeah, Latin America. Yeah, ooh. And I don't even. Oh, I don't even know why it's called Latin America. I suppose it's because all the Catholic missionary settlements from the 1500s and stuff like that.
Yeah,
That
pretty
Latin
much.
was.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a slang term more than anything. Or was
Yeah.
it seems to be
Mostly
mainstream
from
again.
just, the Spanish moving in, and the first thing they'd always build is the church. So basically, it was largely the priests who were running rampant all over the native cultures.
And what was the second thing they'd always build? The bedrooms. Never mind. I'm sorry. That was a cheap shot.
Yeah, I'm not sure if Kaiser is actually king in German, but something very close to it.
Yeah, well, the old German monarch was called the Kaiser.
King was a Koenig, Koenig, or Koenig.
Yeah, but more the position, and what Microraptor's saying is Kaiser derived from Caesar.
Yes, very much so.
Well, I will put my trust in Micro.
Same as the Russian word Tsar.
Yeah,
Derived from that.
Oh, and I had better get on top of editing the description before we get too far, or I'm going to lose topics here.
It's almost 40 degrees here, Perp. Did you hear that you're in the zone to get anywhere from 3 to 8 inches?
No, I haven't seen a recent weather forecast.
Yeah, they're not sure the exact tracking right now, but
yeah, it's bloody well about time.
I can live without more snow.
yeah, but the farmers can't.
It's just not normal.
It's been pretty dry. We really need the snow.
Yeah, and it will be a problem in the spring. If we don't have the snow melt, there's going to be a real problem when they go to plant things in the spring. Hey, Ox. But I also saw a thing that we've got another polar vortex coming through, so next week expect the temperatures to get pretty frigid.
And that person who just walked across the screen is a Houston resident. So see, there's more than 3 of us.
No, I've done that with filming. If you've got 3 of the same model, you keep rotating them so the nose of one is coming out as the tail of the other's going. So with 3 of them, you can make it just look like there's a huge fleet.
All right, we'll try for getting 2 on camera at once.
Sloth Girl's annoyed at me for asking for more snow. It was snowing in Texas. People were freaking out. And it's not even like they had ground cover. They were just freaking out because they saw snowflakes.
Snowflakes. The snowflakes hate snowflakes, huh?
Yeah. You know, it's like, okay, if they happen to get like maybe 3 inches, I'd have some sympathy for them because of the fact that there isn't a snowplow in the entire state. But I mean, if there's not even enough to shovel, just go on, people. Just get on with it.
You know, we have 3 coffee shops in this town. A town of 900. We got 3 coffee shops. It's almost like it's Starbucks City.
How many churches do you have?
I've never counted, but my impression is 5 or 6.
Yeah, where we were living in Michigan, we had a town of 3,000 and we had 25 active churches.
Yeah, our 3 coffee shops are the Barista, who also serves lunch, Cenex, CENEX, and BP. Guess who has the best coffee?
Yeah, the gas station, I'm sure.
No. But between the 2, BP has better coffee.
Okay, now this claim depends on how you analyze it. Sloth Girl claims she does most of the driving, and she may go out more often, but I'm the one who winds up doing anything that's driving more than 5 miles.
She also claims you have a zipper.
Okay.
Well, I got a fairly zippy little car.
She told him to zip it. You must have a zipper.
Yeah, unfortunately, with kids in the distance learning, there's no such thing as snow days anymore. That's something that Corona took away. That's something Corona took away from the parents. You can't go and shake the kid out of bed at 7 o'clock in the morning to tell them, good news, the school's closed today.
See, if I was a parent, I would get them up, make them get to the kitchen, and then I would tell them.
That's usually how it's done.
Sorry guys, something's just turned up. I'm going to have to jump off for a moment at least. So I might pop back in later if I can, but something unexpected has just turned up, so I'm going to have to jump.
Oh, good to see you.
Yeah, see you guys later.
Okay, doc.
Okay, catch you later. Bye-bye.
And I'm going to have to go to the potty because I'm about to explode.
And actually, as far as how does a Triceratops get into a car, somewhere I actually do have a picture of myself in the car with the mask on.
So
I would not drive with the mask on because it kind of limits my peripheral vision, but...
Okay, I'll be back.
Based on your other avatar, I'd say you just transform into a car.
It actually does. That was supposed to be a series of 5 that didn't get completed. That the 2 Transformers, the Triceratops and the Viking, were supposed to be like a Power Master duel. That the Triceratops transforms into a Citroen deux Chevaux Sahara, and the Viking actually transforms into the rear engine.
Groovy.
I was trying to model them out of Lego, but I couldn't quite get it to work right.
Hey, Will is here.
Oh, I will. So anyone else want to jump in here?
Yeah, it'd be cool if Will could join us.
who serves the body of Christ Roman Catholic flavor. Okay. Actually, Junk Shop did a stream on his channel of taste testing various communion wafers.
Why don't they come in chocolate at least?
Yeah. Well, you know, you always hear about wine and chocolate, but they pair them up nicely. So
I've actually never heard about wine and chocolate. It's always been wine and cheese. People always ask me if I want cheese with my wine.
Yep. Okay, and Sloth Girl, Barney was a purple, well, freakasaur of some kind. Definitely not a ceratopsin. We keep as much distance from him as possible.
Now, Dick Dawson has a very good idea. Communion s'mores, baby.
How would that work? Do you have to? I suppose you toast the marshmallows over the candles. There's a name for the altar candles. I can't come up with it now.
Well, over a burning witch is probably more their style.
Okay, Sloth Girl, Barney is less of a dinosaur than the Jurassic Park freaks, which also were not dinosaurs. They were genetically mutated monsters that they managed to make look like dinosaurs. Unfortunately, somebody is actually trying to do that for real. There's a project that they are trying to cause mutations in quail eggs, that they are trying to bring back a dinosaur that way. And I personally think that's doing some horribly unethical experimentation, because it's bound to result in a lot of mutated freaks who will suffer for their entire lives.
I'm back.
Hello.
And that is our nature center. As you can probably read the sign, I'll guess.
Not on my screen. I can't make out the text.
Oh, okay. Oh, I wonder if it's out of focus because of the foreground.
Major Grey Wolf is getting into cartoon logic of the G.I. Joe series.
I watched Captain America Winter Soldier last night. I haven't seen it before.
I haven't seen that one myself. I've only seen about half of the Marvel movies.
It was broadcast on ABC. Disney has decided it's good advertising to run one of their movies that they keep locked up on ABC from time to time. I'm waiting for them to bring Bambi on. They had what was it? The Lion King, the one with that's all CGI.
Yeah.
Wow, is that a fucking impressive movie?
No, I haven't seen that either.
All the animals look absolutely real. It is just holy cow. Pretty neat.
African Humanist is saying that I'm sad because my friend's ex-wife told their 9-year-old son to fast, and his teacher rang because he was concerned about him not concentrating. Is that for some religious observance or what? But yeah,
presumably.
Yeah, I don't think it's a good idea to be pushing a child to do that.
No, kids should not fast. Like, I don't think they should at all.
Yeah, they basically, just need constant energy.
Yeah, it just does not seem very healthy. They're developing and they need all their nutrients.
Okay, yeah, it's something the church asked for. Yeah, aside from the blood tests, I don't voluntarily fast. I just sometimes forget to eat for a day or two. It's not intentional. Sorry, I didn't want to wind up going down on a bummer subject, but that seemed kind of important.
Well, it's a bummer subject they're putting that kid through.
Yeah. Yeah, it's something that is not necessary, so it should be, something that you don't, you have to let them make their own decision and wait until they're old enough to understand what it's about.
Well, maybe they gave the kid a choice, fast or human sacrifice. Religion's good for both of them,
Well, that depends if you let the kid pick which human to sacrifice.
Ooh.
Well, and I'm wondering what happens when the kid says, "Mom, I'm hungry and I need to eat."
Yep.
And acts like kids do, and justifiably so in this case. And what does their parent tell them?
Yeah. Yeah, it's
I think it's
job
great
to make sure I don't go consecutive days without eating.
Yeah. It's beautiful. You're going to do the trail? Yeah.
Yeah, that's even worse. If you fast and then have a huge meal, that sun swing for your body is not good, because in the fasting it starts to shut things down, and then you're going to have more trouble digesting.
Uh-huh. I like it. I love that fight. That's very cool.
Yep.
Well, and then you're going to get more fat too, because once you've starved yourself, your body goes into survival mode and starts turning everything into fat for storage.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yep. Okay, they're finally ramping up security at the Capitol building.
Yeah, they've got they've got the National Guard sleeping on the grounds,
just falling down.
Yeah.
Or sleeping in the Capitol building, I should say.
At this point, I think any congressman who does not vote to impeach Trump should themselves be removed from office, because they are being complacent in an attempt to overthrow, not to mention the previous attempts to dismantle our democracy.
Yeah.
I've seen professional drivers make that mistake.
Okay, we're only hearing half of Jenny's side conversation there.
Yeah, it's the automatic response. It's what we do.
Oh. And of course, Mitch McConnell is refusing to call the Senate back in session to vote on the impeachment.
Mm-hmm.
Even though he said that he endorsed the impeachment, of course, he's going to do everything he can to prevent them from voting on it. Does that surprise anyone? That
Nope.
he's talking out of both sides?
No, but you might not understand the exact reason why he has to do it that way. I'm on YouTube right now. They're on recess. They're on a recess, and for them to end that recess, they would have to get a unanimous permission. I forget the exact word they use. Out of all 100 senators.
So fucking what? They should do it.
All it takes is one person to say no, and it won't happen.
That's fine. And whoever says no, that can be on their voting record.
Well,
he should still call for it. They should do it because someone tried to overthrow this country. They tried a hostile takeover of the main government center.
Yeah, but it can also be done after they're back from recess.
Which is the day before the inauguration.
That is correct. I don't like it either, but it's still accurate. It can be done afterwards.
Considering what he's already done, though, getting Trump out of office one day sooner could make a difference.
That is also true. But I think the most major of players are on the side of sanity. And I'm speaking of like the military and stuff.
Yeah. Where most people are didn't help 6 people now who got killed. And just everything Trump is doing is daily getting more people killed. If nothing else, his total lack of doing anything effective about the coronavirus. And this is an issue too, that, they're having armed protests at state capitals of every state that will let them carry weapons openly.
And that's up to the states to deal with, unfortunately.
Agreed, African humanist, agreed.
Okay, and Pence is not going with the 25th Amendment. Again, no surprise there. Yeah, a lot of Trump supporters are arguing that's a free speech thing, but they don't understand what the free speech is about.
It's not about killing people or doing things that gets people killed.
And a private company can decide who gets to be on their platform. Trump is not being censored. Trump can call a press conference anytime he wants.
Yep.
And there will be TV cameras in the room.
Yep.
The newly elected senators haven't been sworn in yet. I'm not even quite sure what date they'll be sworn in. And also the thing with Georgia, that the 2 new senators from Georgia are probably not going to be sworn in for a while because it's pretty much guaranteed that there's going to be calls for recounts. So they can't be sworn in until after all the recounts and appeals are taken care of. Yep. And what Mage is saying as far as the Twitter thing, that even in free speech, the law specifically states that you cannot incite violence.
Yep, just like yelling fire in a crowded theater.
Yep. Yep, and okay, this is the way that people on the other side of the pond are seeing it, and and that's why Trump needs to be impeached, even if it's after he's out of office, because a clear message needs to be sent that, no one is above the law, that they will be prosecuted regardless of who they are or what office they hold.
Well, he will be impeached. The House is working on that today. I was watching some of the speeches on PBS. And of course, the usual Republicans are fighting it.
Yeah. Yeah. They definitely had inside help from a number of the Republicans in Congress. And something needs to be done about them too. Unfortunately, that'll be a lot harder to find the evidence to prove things out, but
I would bet almost every one of those amateur protesters would be glad to turn in a congressman to get busted so that they get off. I think you're going to get a lot of squealing pigs. All you got to do is threaten them with jail time, and those snowflakes will spill their guts. Yes, that congressman did give us a tour. It shows us vulnerable spots. I have very little doubt of that. These people are such cowards.
Sloth Girl's providing us with some memes for the subject.
And the other one I really like is the crazy guy with the painted face and the horns. Oh, he's in jail and his mommy is coming up to the media. His mommy, he doesn't like the food they're giving him.
Unfortunately, I saw something that apparently he actually won a case against the jail for that. Mm-hmm. I didn't see the details on it. At this point, Jesus doesn't need to take the wheel. He needs to pull over and spank some of y'all with his flip-flop. Well, I'm glad that Sloth Girl stepped up to take care of this, because Randolph sent me a message that he's working and can't come in right now, so we needed a memer. It's okay to disagree. We're all different. It's not okay to spew hate when someone's thoughts don't line up with yours.
Indeed.
Oh, another news item I heard, that the company that made the voting machines has filed something like a $3 billion lawsuit against that unhinged lady preacher. I forget her name. Because they say that her baseless accusations, are going to wind up costing them money for defaming their reputation when there was no evidence that there was any problem with their machines. I do hope they win that one.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure voting machines aren't covered in the Bible, so it doesn't sound like religious speech.
Well, and she is still going on that Trump will be president, that he will be installed in office. So it's like she made a prophecy that didn't come true. And, she's like tripling and quadrupling down. She just won't give up on it. After today's event, Mexico has decided that they will pay for the wall, and Canada wants one too. If Canada starts building a wall, I'm going to be up there stealing bricks and moving it 300 miles south. Apparently a new game is catching on in Canada now.
What game is that?
It's kind of a variant on curling, that they don't have the sweepers. They're just sliding the stones at a center target, more like a shuffleboard thing. And part of why it's catching on is because it's a game that it's up to 4 players, each in their own quadrant, so they can stay like 12 feet apart while they're playing.
I thought you were going to say their new game was they take a shot every time a Republican resigns.
Yeah, we have had a fair number of those. And
Not enough.
sinking the ship, leaving the sinking ship.
I heard somebody was talking about, some commentator was discussing the likelihood that when this is all done and shaken out, that we're going to have a Democrat Party, we're going to have a Republican Party, and we're going to have a Trump Party.
Yeah, and apparently there have been a significant number of Republican voters who've been changing the registration to Democrat. I haven't seen actual numbers on it, but apparently it's enough to make some people in the Democratic National Committee a bit worried.
The statistic in the mix this morning was 40% of registered Republicans still would vote for Donald Trump in 2024.
Gods.
That doesn't surprise me.
It's gone down. It was more, but
well, at least it's less than
40%.
half of them now. Yeah, Parler actually wound up being instrumental in them finding a bunch of the people from the video footage.
Oh, I heard this great little meme this morning. Let's see if I can remember. Who would have thunk that a fascist, authoritarian, egotistical something or other would be the one who saves our Constitution? I think most of all, that's what's going on. Is the energy I feel out in the public is that people are very, very angry that this happened, and we're talking not political people, but just Joe Blow on the street, and really want to see Trump punished because he did try to destroy our country, and apparently to the massive public that means more than a political party does.
It's about time that something does.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah, it would just translate to the ballot box.
Well, that'll be interesting to see in the next Senate election in 2 years, whether any of this holds over or whether they all forget about it by then. Yeah, see, that's been my plan all along, that I wanted Canada to annex the upper Midwest, at least take like Minnesota, the northern third of Wisconsin, and the upper peninsula of Michigan.
Fuck you, the whole damn state of Wisconsin. Screw you, you don't know nothing about that state. The liberal part is the southern part. What do you want to eliminate it for?
Well, actually, I didn't care one way or other about Wisconsin. It was just if they were going to take the upper peninsula of Michigan, they kind of needed the stretch that connected it.
The upper peninsula belongs to Wisconsin.
There was actually a proposal back in the 1980s for the upper third of Wisconsin and the upper peninsula of Michigan to become an independent state.
There, see? Our citizen is walking back through the screen.
Yeah, they had wanted to call it the state of Superior because it bordered on Lake Superior. But the plan kind of fell apart when someone asked them how they were going to finance it, and they realized that there wasn't any major city in the whole area they were taking.
Yeah, there's the income in the upper peninsula is abysmal.
Yep. Yeah, that basically they were fighting over whether or not they could get Green Bay included in it, because Green Bay would be the only city of any size they would have. And I don't think Wisconsin was going to let Green Bay go, if nothing else, just because they didn't want to let go of the football team.
Yep.
Oh. Yeah, I saw something like about that on Twitter too. That one young woman turned in her own parents for participating in the Capitol riot. Which, honestly, if you know somebody who was part of that, it is your civil duty to turn them in, whoever they are.
Yeah.
Yeah, and this heat of the moment defense. Yeah, from people who traveled over 1,000 miles and were better equipped than the riot police. They're claiming they got caught up in the heat of the moment. That has to be a moment that lasted at least 3 days. Yeah, Minnesota is basically Canada light. Actually, when I first moved from Canada to New York, I've been away too long and I lost the accent now, but I had the Minnesota accent and everybody in New York thought I was Canadian. Hey, Hans. At least the folks in the Norwegian government that twice suggested Trump for the Nobel Prize, that it would be wrong to give it to him. I knew somebody had nominated him for the Nobel Prize. I didn't realize it was actually government officials. No, I don't have any sympathy for the rioters either. To be clear, there were thousands of people who were protesting out on the plaza, and that was completely within their rights. I have no gripe with them. Anyone who actually entered the building should be arrested and charged because they had to get through 3 levels of police barricades to be in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, unfortunately, the whole conspiracy that the election was stolen from him has been hyped so much, and hyped by high government officials, as well as, of course, the likes of Fox News and the other far right-wing things, that a lot of these people are firmly convinced that Trump was supposed to be elected. You can't even say they're delusional because the sources of information they trust have been spoon-feeding this to them. Yeah, we can't give all of California to Mexico. Maybe the southern third of it, but California is one of the few states in the U.S. that actually produces more than it takes in as far as government spending. The actual definition of a moment is 90 seconds. Okay, not sure where you got the definition, but that sounds like a good time frame.
I had read that somewhere myself. I just forgot exactly how long it was supposed to be. I was thinking it was like 3 seconds or 3 minutes or something, but 3 half minutes sounds reasonable.
Yeah.
This is the main street of Houston.
Yep. Okay, Jenny, obviously lots of wind noise from the camera though.
Yeah, it's cutting you out a bit somehow.
Yeah. Jenny? And you have to temporarily mute you because of the wind noise.
Yeah.
Okay, Jenny, will you back?
No, but I will be in a bit.
Okay. I'm not sure about annexing Florida. I would kind of support the Bugs Bunny routine about just cutting it loose and letting it drift off. Make it into the largest Caribbean island. I would actually make a case of giving back to Mexico what was originally theirs, which would be Texas, Arizona, and the southern third of California. According to the Republicans, Arizona didn't vote for us anyway, so. Oh, sorry, Doc.
What?
No, Osiris was saying I can't use Google, otherwise it messes up his phone connection.
Oh, other Doc.
Yep. Yep, and Sloth Girl's completely right. Anyone who performed any kind of violence at the protest should be arrested. And also, whoever was, all the people who were in charge of the security definitely need to, at least be questioned about their position, because they can't say they weren't warned about this. The FBI had sent them memos. Officers within the Capitol security had been showing their supervisors the tweets from these people organizing the rally. So they can't say they didn't see this coming. And there isn't any reason that they didn't have a squad of riot police with the gear and shields there before it started. They knew this was going to be violent. They knew this would not be a peaceful protest.
Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty crazy, man. We live in interesting times indeed.
Yeah, I could deal with going back to a couple of months of boring here.
Yep, it's completely obvious they knew what they were doing. It was premeditated.
Well, and one of the DC police officers who had, said that he had been trying to warn his higher ups about this, even pointed out in the message streams that, these aren't amateurs. These are guys who have military training coming to do this, that are organizing this. And yeah, that's what they found. The people they arrested, they had two-way radios, they had earpieces, they had spotters all around that were, relaying information to each other about where the police officers were.
Yep, it was organized.
Oh. Momentum was a medieval unit of time. The movement of a shadow on the sundial covered 40 moments in a solar hour, a twelfth of the period between sunrise and sunset. Okay, so there is a specific definition.
Yep.
Although the length of a moment in modern seconds was therefore not fixed. On average, a moment corresponds to 90 seconds. Yeah, because if it was the period between sunrise and sunset, that would vary depending on what time of year it was. That each day you don't have the same amount of sunlight. It would also vary based on your latitude then.
Yep.
Yeah, and I think this is the problem. I think that there probably were a lot of people organizing the police departments who were at least MAGA sympathizers. That, through the BLM protest, we saw that the police officers were acting like the MAGA people, and all these improvised militias they felt were their allies. And they didn't stop thinking they were their allies until they actually started seeing them beating up police officers. Well, the government was being overthrown by the inside. They just didn't realize that it was the people helping them who were trying to overthrow the government, not the people they were fighting against. Yeah, and Hans, there's definitely something to that. Some people are just going to reject anything that's going to use tax money. Sloth Girl has a good point. The shadow on the sundial, that definitely works if the Earth is round.
We all know that ain't true.
Okay, Danny, so new location?
Same parking lot, just different place. That's our owl bench.
Ah.
That was carved out of a single tree trunk. It's all one piece.
Cool.
Yeah, it is, actually. I started counting the rings on the tree. I think it was an elm tree. We never saw any branches or leaves. But from the wood, it kind of looked like it reminded me of elm. And I stopped at 150. So my eyes were just going buggy.
I would agree that the military should have better psychological screening. Unfortunately, the recruiters get paid by the head count, or not actually paid, but they get bonuses for the head count. So they just want to send as many people in there as they can, and they don't care whether or not they're suitable.
Yeah, but you see, they could take care of that just by charging back, just like they do, in a merchant situation. You got a lousy product, and you want to return, and the merchant's fucking with you. The master charge can charge it back.
Yeah.
And they take the money away from the merchant.
Yeah, there's just so many things wrong with the way the military recruiting is anyway. It's another system that needs to be overhauled, but I doubt we're going to see it in my lifetime. Sloth Girl's asking why you're creeping in the park.
Why I'm creeping in the park? Because I get tired of living in within four walls and staring at the ugly brown paint. So I have to come to the park and actually see living things and stuff. And I don't have to wear a mask when I'm sitting in my car in the park.
Yeah, Ox, I don't know. I find the idea that the Capitol Police were told to allow them just to see what Trump was up to. I think it was clear what Trump was up to before that. I don't think allowing them into the building really... I don't know. I kind of find it hard to believe that, because they were actually putting the lives of the people in Congress at risk.
But I nonetheless wonder how many higher ups in the Capitol Police were instructing some of them to help the rioters.
Yeah, well,
or if it was their own initiative and on their own politics.
No, I think it probably, was at some level of at least the squad commanders. I don't think it was just the guys on the ground making those decisions.
And that's an even scarier notion than just some lower level cop doing it on his own.
Oh. Sloth Girl's crapping on our pastime. That's a reference to a Tom Lehrer song, which for some stupid reason today I've had the Vatican rag running in my head.
The Vatican rag?
The Vatican rag. It's a Tom Lehrer song.
It's funny.
Yeah, it was something he wrote about the Vatican II reforms of the Catholic Church. The thing I find really disturbing about Tom Lehrer songs is that it's political satire written in the 60s, and it all still seems relevant today, which indicates we really haven't made a lot of progress.
Well, that's not the only thing that does that. Listen to any of the speeches out of the 50s about racial unrest and things. It's the same words, same sentences. Sometimes same people doing the speech.
Yeah, Ox, what I'm afraid of is that the government's going to do a very high-profile cases of some of the random idiots who are vandalizing the building, and they're going to use that to try and appease the public and not do anything about the elected officials who were helping out with it.
Well, there's Congress people calling for the punishment and removal of other Congress people because of this.
Yeah.
Like
Well,
this Lauren Boebert person is on everybody's radar because she was the one who sat there in the room hiding with Nancy Pelosi and a bunch of other Congress people, and she's calling the people in the unrest and telling them where they are.
Yeah. Yep. Well, and right there, she should definitely be prosecuted with treason because that is under the category of giving aid and comfort to the enemy. You know, if she's reporting their positions to the attacking force, how can that not be giving aid to the enemy?
There was a report this morning. She went through the magnetic detector on her way into the Capitol building today and set it off and walked right through it and didn't stop when the guards or whoever told her to stop because she probably triggered it with her .45 that she carries in her back belt.
Egads.
And yes, we can do Tom Lehrer songs because Tom Lehrer, he's still alive. He's like 92 or 93. And he has released all of his entire collection of music to the public domain.
Really?
Yeah, that apparently
cool.
wanted to make sure that was done before he died.
Well, that's
so
cool.
that anybody could use his music.
That is very cool. I did not know that.
That is excellent, and I hope that becomes a trend with artists.
Yeah, I don't want my second or third generation relatives making money off of my songs and lyrics and stuff. How fucking selfish and that's go get a job.
Yep, I agree. The copyright thing is a little crazy. I do believe in protecting intellectual property and all, but I think it's taken way too far. You know, some schmuck can't just sing a tune on YouTube without getting smacked. You know, it's how is that a challenge to any intellectual property or anything? You know.
Yeah, well, Disney's army of lawyers are primarily responsible for the copyright system being so badly broken.
Yep, because they kept extending the years that the copyright lasts, so they could keep Mickey Mouse.
Yep, it used to be that after 25 years, things were supposed to default into the public domain. You know, and Disney has been fighting that because, you know, they were afraid of losing some of their characters, but you know, now it's gotten to the point that, yeah, nothing winds up with the public domain anymore.
It's something like 93 years. I got curious one time and decided to kind of research online a little bit about the whole copyright thing, and there's a website that actually has a clock counting down, and it's it tells you when when copyrighted stuff goes public domain. So like 1927, I think, at least as of 2020, was like anything copyrighted before then is public domain, but anything after 27 is definitely still copyrighted and owned by somebody. So that's, you know, any song even from like the 40s or 50s or 30s is all still copyrighted, and we'll get you a strike or whatever on YouTube.
Yeah. Yeah, and they are pretty fanatical about it, especially with the YouTube stuff. I mean, I've gotten copyright claims, and it's like I got hit with one from NBC because we played part of the theme song of a sci-fi series that aired 6 episodes in the 90s and never aired again. So it's like, yeah, NBC is really worried about my channel with less than 300 subscribers at the time is somehow a threat to that.
What show was that?
I don't even remember the name of it. It was just something that Kate was on, and she remembered the show and she had queued it up. But I mean, that's the whole point, that it was this totally forgettable show that nobody has cared about for 30 years.
Worst science fiction show of all time on TV, for as far as I'm concerned. Buck Rogers in the 25th century. It was just awful. It was just terrible. It was like Lost in Space with better quality production values. It's just terrible.
Yeah, I remember watching that.
Beady, 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 beady. What the fuck, Buck?
Mm-hmm. Everything was so manufactured and pedantic. Not pedantic, pedestrian. It was just terrible.
I never got to watch too much of that. Like I caught a couple. I mean, it would have been reruns. I think it was playing probably a couple years before I was born. I was born in '74. I want to say that came out in what, 72, 73?
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't remember. I'd have to look it up.
The only good thing about that show was Aaron Gray.
And I'm trying to. There. Oh, shoot. Forgot about that. I'm just trying to get everybody's links put into the description here, so.
God, what a lovely day.
Yeah, because we're not freeze babies like a certain sewing person.
Mm-hmm. It's not quite 40 here, but it's getting close.
And we don't mean Celsius.
I wish it was sunny. That'd be even nicer then.
No, it's sunny here.
We're at 43 where I'm at, or at least according to the Weather Channel. Which is, I think my other weather app is a more local one that seems more accurate on stuff. And the two are usually off by like 1 or 2 degrees. So.
Yeah, this is something I still don't quite get on YouTube. That why are there people who have channels that do nothing but music covers and karaoke, and they don't seem to be bothered with the copyright stuff?
See, I was wondering if YouTube had some kind of fee or something you could pay, even if it's like a monthly fee, so that you can use copywritten material. Basically, you're paying at least them, and then they're probably paying the people that own the copyrighted material or whatever.
Oh, ASCAP and BMI do have those kinds of agreements that they can make with places. It's what allows somebody to broadcast an NFL game in their bar, because they pay a certain amount of royalty.
Yeah.
But it's illegal for you and me to do that. Although then there's people who do it and just don't get caught. I watched Packer games that I couldn't get here on Periscope. There was a guy who was broadcasting them on Periscope, and then somebody else was doing them on Twitch. And I was able to catch them that way. And then, each one of them, poof, all of a sudden disappeared. So, they got caught.
Yeah, that's weird how that works.
So who's going to win this weekend? Packers or who the hell are they playing?
I'm going to win because I'm going to not waste a couple hours of my life watching it.
I was just going to say something like that.
Well, it's the Packers. It's not a waste.
I will say that if I was going to pick a football team, it would be the Packers, just because they are publicly owned and they are not owned by a corporation like all the other teams. So, that is something that the city that hosts them actually does get something from the team.
Most of those shares are owned by individuals.
Yep.
That it was individual people who put in money to prop up the team and keep it from going under way back in the 50s.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's...
And then they did that again. What was that? 80s, 90s to late 90s to build their new additions and stuff to modernize their stadium. So the taxpayers never paid a penny to do it. The club paid for their own stadium. So those two things alone make them a better team than anybody else.
Yep.
Because they're not fucking with people. They're straight up.
Yeah, and that's why I could support them. And then also because it is, like you say, the stocks are owned by people in the local community. It's actually, helping the local community. It's keeping the money local.
And people should also know that those stock certificates, and I have two, one for myself, one I bought for my nephew, have no par value, which means they don't go up or down in value. They're just there.
Okay, that sounds more like a bond than a stock.
But I'm allowed to go to stockholder meetings, and I'm allowed to vote on corporate policy as a stockholder. So it's a legitimate stock. It's not just give me your money, here's a piece of paper.
Yep. Yeah, anything I would have cared about professional sports was completely shot. Again, most of it happened back in the 80s about all these sports teams whining about new stadiums and, threatening to relocate and stuff like that if they didn't get them. And it's just, it really pissed me off that taxpayer money was being expected to be used for that when they were all owned by these, multi-billion-dollar corporations.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's like Walmart.
Yeah.
They come in, they destroy your local economy, put all these small businesses out of business. They hang out there for 5 to 10 years, and then they want more tax cuts or benefits from the local authorities. They say no, and Target shuts down and moves out, leaving this big Texaco property empty. And the whole town is suffering now.
Yeah.
Yep.
In Red Wing, Minnesota, Walmart did that trick that they basically blackmailed the town to get all sorts of tax breaks to build a store there. And Target set up a store on the opposite end of town. And Walmart did it again and got more tax breaks to build a second store on the opposite end, right across the street from the Target. And then they just abandoned the first store. So it is sitting there empty, and it has reverted to the county now because they defaulted on paying the property tax for it. They literally just abandoned the building and waited for the county to claim it because they weren't going to pay the taxes anymore.
What dirtbags.
Yeah, no shit.
And now the county's stuck with a big old heap of building that they probably can't even use.
Yeah, it's just sitting there empty, and no one has any use for something that size at that location.
If any one of you out in the chat want to learn why Perp and I rave so much about this part of the country, come on up and visit Red Wing, Minnesota. It's just a stunning, beautiful little town. It's one of those places where there aren't any murders and damn near no crime at all. It's a very just beautiful place right on the Mississippi. It's just amazing. You can get boots there,
Yep. Yeah, I've got a friend who lives there. Actually with the COVID, haven't driven down there since I've been back in Minnesota, but when normal group social activities resume, I'll probably be driving down there occasionally.
It's where you'll find the Ufda shop. Ufda is the Norwegian saying that basically means oy vey. People up here use it all the time. And the Ufda shop is this Scandinavian-based, mostly Norwegian shop where you can buy little Norwegian gifts and stuff like that.
Groovy.
Yeah, but could you imagine going to, say, New York and setting up the oy vey shop? How long would that last?
Wouldn't that be in St. Louis Park?
Yeah, probably.
Great. Hopefully my mic won't pick it up, but it sounds like the guy above me is using a hammer drill.
Yeah, don't hear a thing.
Yep, I don't hear it either.
Mics have gotten really good at noise canceling. They're not very good at noise canceling your radio or TV in the background, but that's because those are the sounds that it's trying to capture.
Yeah. Yeah, Ox, Minnesota, weed is only for medicinal purposes. So you need to have a card from your doctor to get it. Which really surprises me because Minnesota is, generally a progressive state. So I would have expected Minnesota to be like one of the first 5 to have legalized it.
It's also the home of organized alcohol and drug abuse treatment science.
That's true. And unfortunately, most of the alcohol and drug abuse programs are still very religious based. So it's not like the fundamentalist Christians so much here, but yeah, it's I think mostly Lutherans in Minnesota.
See, I think they're just as bad as the evangelicals. It's complete surrender to a higher power to live your life by the regulations of that power, and it's just not right. Yep.
I agree, and that's why, like the AA programs, they don't really work, especially for anyone who doesn't have a strong religious belief.
For those who buy into it, though, they do have fairly good numbers. I guess it's like a 30% success rate, which is pretty damn good for drug and alcohol treatment.
Yeah, I've known quite a few people, and including several people in my own family, that have repeatedly failed in AA programs. And unfortunately, part of the problem with the religious-based programs is if you fail, they wind up guilt tripping you. They really blame the person failing for not having enough faith.
Yeah, and that's just sick.
Well, but we live in a society that thinks willpower is this thing that you just call up from within yourself, and it's there. It's,
like a psychic power.
Yeah, there's no such thing as willpower.
Yeah. Okay, I wasn't watching the side chat for a bit. What did I miss here? Oh, okay. Oh, well, sounds like kind of a slow day here. Like we don't have a whole lot to talk about, and the whole political stuff is, I think everybody's pretty burned out on it, but it's also been so hashed over so many times.
Well, and we're still kind of in the middle of it and just kind of waiting for more news now.
Yeah.
Yeah, when's the shoe gonna drop?
Well, and a lot of it's just, waiting and hoping that the people in power are going to do the right thing, but most people have lost all faith in them actually doing the right thing. It's been so long since it's happened, it's hard to really hope for it.
Some of them are even actively preventing other politicians from doing the right thing.
Yeah. Well, and that's been the problem with the police force too, that, they say it's just a few bad cops, but, it's not, because when a good cop tries to report a bad cop, it usually ruins their career. So the ones who actually have a conscience are basically prevented from doing anything about it. And it's the same thing with the political parties, that when somebody wants to stand up and say something's not right, they're usually told by the people in their own parties, and this isn't just the Republicans, both parties do it, that they're told that if they do something that embarrasses the party, they're not going to get any support in their next re-election campaign.
No, the Democrats are perfect.
The Democrats are better. They sometimes show some ethics, but it's not consistent. I'm still pissed that we lost Al Franken over what was a joke. He apologized to the woman involved. The woman accepted his apology, and he still wound up resigning. Yeah. And yet, the shit that's going on now, and, all these Republican senators who have carried on promoting the election was rigged narrative, and probably nothing's going to happen to most of them.
Indeed, it's very messed up.
Let's switch views here.
Yep, exactly, Sloth Girl. There's some messed up stuff.
Black. Yeah, well, at least this time around, they're trying to guard the Capitol, but yeah, I mean, we've seen the caliber of the violent fanatics that at this point, I think every member of Congress should be worried about being assassinated. And, you know, it's something the Republicans have been using as a defense, but, you know, I kind of get it that they're saying that they feel that their families would be threatened if they didn't go along with it. You know, it's like, it's on a personal level, I understand it, but you've got to realize what that says about how far you let this go. You know, and why didn't you rein it in 2 or 3 years ago? It's not like this is the first time Trump has done something bizarre and unconstitutional.
Yeah, and that's the bizarre thing. He just kept getting away with this crazy shit. It's like, I just don't get it. What does like Trump have that just allowed him to get away with the shit he has?
It's called
It's like
charisma.
no other, definitely not a Democratic president would they let him get away with that.
It's called charisma. You know, and charisma is not necessarily a positive thing. It's just people are attracted to you, whether it's good or bad. And you know, there's people who glorify gangsters. There's just people who glorify gang members. I don't get it, but it's true.
And Howard Stern.
Yeah,
I think he's a fine example of what you're talking about there, Jenny.
He's a fine example of convenient morality.
Mm.
Whatever works for whatever show he's doing.
Yeah, that too.
What a pretty dog. I don't know if you can see that. I suspect not. They're just down over a little slope. It looks like a Norwegian elk hound mixed with something else.
No, can't see the dog, even when I try to enlarge you.
Yeah, I know the curvature of the earth is.
That depends. Did the dog disappear from the bottom up?
Yes, it did.
Oh.
Yeah, unfortunately, I think I should probably hop off here really soon because my phone's getting hot. I'm surprised it hasn't knocked me off already.
Yeah. Like I said, sounds like we're all kind of slow on it today, so we'll just wrap this one up early here. So, Doc, you got anything going on?
Nope. Just the usual work.
Okay, Jenny, you've got appearances all over the place.
Well, mostly it's all Dave Critical Cripples questions show. It's very day to day.
Yeah, he's trying a bunch of different time slots.
Yeah, I don't know where to get a schedule for it other than follow him on YouTube. That's Critical Cripple, and watch when things are posted. But every day there's a show this week. I'll be with you tomorrow night, and movie night on Friday night. And Saturday, I think I'll go have sex with a pillow or something.
Okay. Well, in about 2 hours, I'm going to be on with Black Sofa on his channel, discussing 1984 because everybody's throwing around the phrase Orwellian, and most of the people have no clue what it really means. And I will be on Dave's Critical Question show. I'm only going to be doing the Friday morning editions, which will be 10 o'clock Friday morning Central Time. And then tomorrow night at 9 p.m. Central, Jen's Little Corner is doing a show on trans allies, so I'll be on the panel with her for that. And as Jenny already said about movie night on Fridays, although I'll probably be late for movie night because I suspect that Jen's show is probably going to, oh, no, I'm sorry. That's Thursday, Friday. I'm okay. Yeah, movie night on Friday. I have trouble with schedules. I'm not good with them. So, yeah, I suppose that's about it. So, thanks everybody for coming. Thanks again to Greg Hartwick, the Lavender Lady, and Mikey Famine for helping support my channel. I should also include in that list that I finally have all the parts for my new computer. I need to assemble it now. And GeoSam, GeoSam sent me the case for that. And Julie LaVoice and Junk Shop helped me out with the power supply.
Awesome.
Cool.
And lots of help as far as advice from a team on Twitter, including a very stable milking stool and Nerdy Rodent and GeoSam and Creighton 42. So, yeah, I'm a bit nervous. I've got to get the dust cleaned up around here before I can start doing the electronics work. I figure I can put the physical components together. When it gets to installing the operating system, that's the part that scares me. So, okay. Well, thanks, everybody.
Goodbye, chat. Nice to see you.